the rights and duties of men and women. In 1 Corinthians 15, the Apostle Paul explains that God has given every created thing its own form, and each form has its own unique glory. Paul originally shared this to help people understand the reality of Christ's resurrection. But today, I'd like to use Paul's words to reflect on the story of Adam and Eve. When God created Adam and Eve, He gave each of them a distinct glory and purpose. Many people tend to focus on the story itself, how God made Eve from one of Adam's ribs, and question whether it's literally true. Some even treat it like a myth or fairy tale. Unfortunately, even many Christians spend more time debating whether the story is factual than understanding the deeper meaning behind it. But more important than how God created is why He created in this way. Think of a family with two children. Often parents will tell the older child to look after the younger one, not because one is more important, but because the younger is more vulnerable and needs more care. In a similar way, when God created Adam first and then formed Eve from his side, He was giving Adam a responsibility to love, care for, and protect Eve, recognizing that she came from his own body. This idea that men are naturally called to protect women is understood across many cultures, regardless of religion. It reflects something deeply rooted in the nature God placed in men, the instinct to protect and take responsibility. On the other hand, by creating Eve after Adam, God was giving her the role of a loving helper and supporter. She wasn't created to be lesser, but to stand beside Adam as a partner in love. God's plan for families was to build them on these two kinds of love: protective love and supportive love. When both are lived out, when a husband and wife care for one another and cherish each other, a family can experience deep joy and great blessing. But sadly, many families today have lost sight of this truth. People forget that their spouse is part of themselves. Instead of showing love, one may only expect it from the other. Over time, this can lead to distance, resentment, and even conflict. Some marriages survive only for the sake of the children, not because love remains. Even in households of faith, it's not uncommon to hear people say they are just enduring for their kids. This happens when we forget the love God has given us to share, the duty of love that forms the foundation of marriage. Who else can truly love your spouse but you? Looking for that love somewhere else, whether through another person or even through work or money, is like breaking your marriage in spirit. Just as our relationship with God is based on a covenant through Jesus Christ, the relationship between husband and wife is also a covenant. It's a promise to support one another, care for each other's weaknesses, and take responsibility for one another's well-being. When this sacred bond is forgotten and when someone places their love for self or something else above their spouse, the relationship starts to fall apart. And let's be honest, how many people could truly accept their spouse choosing money or someone else over them without feeling deeply hurt? If we want to build homes that are filled with peace and happiness, we need to remember the two kinds of love that God gave us: love that protects and love that helps. Love your spouse as you love your own body. This is not only the way to live well with each other, it's also how we come to understand our relationship with God. Just as Adam and Eve were called to live within God's word and covenant, so are we. When we cling to God's word and live according to His design for marriage, He promises to protect and care for us. This is part of His covenant relationship with us. When we honor that relationship, our lives become full of blessing, and His grace flows freely into every part of our lives. So today, remember the love that God has asked you to give. Live it out joyfully toward your spouse and toward God. In doing so, you will walk in his love and reflect his heart.
구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 해주세요. Subscribe, like, set notifications.